Say, welcome to another Tryp, y'all. I'm King Yavelli, and I'm here with Trippy Joker.
Man, we here with the legendary Godfather of House Music, DJ Ben and Axel Rowley. Tell me about yourself.
You want me to go first, my brother?
Yes, sir.
Well, you talking to the Ben man who has, I got my name from, it's kind of crazy. When I was in school, they were like, hey, Ben, and they're like, man, you the man. That's how that started. But I'm one of the guys who is in the invention of, when we say in house music, basically early dance music, from the disco era to the dance music. And then when I was in college, I actually started Better Days Records. My first store was Toontown. I had partners in both of them, but by the end of it, I bought Better Days solely for me in 1981.
1981.
Wow.
And I was in my early 20s.
So what's the difference between the store from then and now?
Store, the difference is technology has just changed the thinking of the way people shop, the way people hunt, the way people actually even introduce themselves to a soundtrack of their lives. I'm a guy who likes to try to create a memory, or we were talking earlier just about the art of music.
Yeah.
And the art of music is creation. And the creation of music is the thought, the mind, body, and soul of using everything that you have to put in the instrument or the craft that you use. So with the industry is teaching people how to do that. I mean, like, make a living, have an earning of definitely something of your passion. Learn how to deal with your passion, turn it into an industry, and then just learn how to wear several of those hats. So I'm just one of the guys who just fortunate to know that God gave me this ability to recognize. And I'm talking about recognize what I was going to do in life when I was probably like 9, 10, 11 years old.
So music is your gift.
Yeah, music is my gift. My parents would give me stories of them playing the stereo and me recognizing songs just by pointing, or they're like, hey, what you want to listen to? This before I could even talk. They'll hold up a record and I would point to what label that I like.
You know those vibrations.
Yeah. So again, it's always been just a part of my life that is, so it's rare, but it's not unusual. But the rareness is because most black families think that it's someone else's book that we have to read instead of writing our own pages.
Right.
And that
you started early.
And I started early, writing my own page of just knowing, of course, grew up in church, self-taught, probably every instrument. My thing is I can play keyboards, drums, guitar, any instrument. I learned it, all instruments, So, and then of course, at a young age, I start playing for plenty of people through church, through choirs, through teaching, that world. So it all is connected in the black world.
You got to be talented to perform in church.
And you have
I know every black church has got that music.
So that's where, again, that's where my thing is. That's where to recognize. You just recognize the gift. Plenty of people have it, and again, that's why I struggle. Being the house guy, being the vocal guy, being the MC guy, being the talker, being the guy, the communicator. I struggle with technology and real.
Yeah.
And now, I feel like life's struggling with it now, completely. Now that we have the Instagram, the YouTube, here we have a podcast, which again, 30 years ago, we would never think we were going to sit around, can interview and talk, and someone will engage
about music
or anything.
That wasn't even thought of.
I wasn't even thought of because it was just you thought of a show had to be ABC, NBC. Yeah, it had to be like for you to become whomever.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to go with the network. Now life
like you said, we're writing our own pages.
Now we're writing our own pages, and that's where the cats like me in their 60s, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you can control the page. And the difference is understand how to create content, control it, be safe. Don't do just any and everything, but because that's what people want, but that doesn't mean that's what your soul wants. And if your soul doesn't want it, then 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a stumble that you can't, even though we fall down and we get up, there's plenty that fall down and go to the grave because they don't understand how to wear the hat of what do your soul want. If your soul doesn't say yes, or if your soul doesn't say good things about it, then at least question it. And don't, and learn how to be leaders and learn how to be. But back to what I did. See, that's the reason why I'm a black dude that owns probably one of the largest record stores because I know records. I know them all. I know all genres. I don't fall into a
because
category.
Of you, we got talented artists as itself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it is how black people sometimes just doesn't recognize who's who.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they don't. One of the biggest fights that I used to always have is I would have a record store and sell you a record, and my customer said, I ain't gonna tell nobody where I got it. I'm like, no, you do need to tell somebody where you got it. How am I gonna make a living? Just say, why would you want me to turn you on to something and you like you gonna go home to your hood and you don't even let them know where you got it, or you make the star side out of it, like hey, again, you didn't invent. That's where technology.
We're gonna go into that.
That's where realness is just so funny. To how am I gonna make a living if you don't even tell nobody about it?
Right, yes, sir.
Right. So tell us about yourself, Rolly.
Yeah, Axel Rowley. Some people call me Black Mozart. That's most of my guys. But yeah, I DJ, but mainly I make beats. I'm pretty much more of like in the hip hop scene, record collector. Super record collector for real for the most part though. So what I really had my start in with just making music or anything like that, the moment when I first said, I just want to make some music or just do what they do, is I remember when I was just going through my dad's collection, and this was like right before listening to 400 Degrees. Like I got in trouble for that, just for cussing and all that type of good old stuff.
Your dad had a whole vinyl set?
But now this was when CDs. Now my auntie had vinyls just at her house, but with CDs, he had a whole wide collection of just hip hop, soul, R&B, funk, jazz, as well as my mama done. But at that one time where I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. I remember I found Rakim's 18th Letter in that CD, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. Just hearing Pete Rock's beats, Primo beats. I was like, this is what I want to do. And just growing up and then seeing records around like my auntie's house, when everybody would come over the house, play cards or whatnot, that's when I always been to like just changing the records, being just their DJ.
Using the other room, messing with the music.
I was messing with the music, just
Yeah.
being their DJ, just doing that.
So you was playing for them.
Playing for them.
That's cool. Would
Yeah.
they give you requests?
Actually, not. I know,
rocking the vibe.
like I know what, like, just for what the record, it's a visual thing too, as well as like with sound, because I always be like, man, what's that one record like with just the naked lady on it? Oh, the Ohio Players. Pick that up.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put that on there because it has so much good stuff on there, and I remember how it make my family feel when they hear stuff like that.
Right.
So I always put up on that vibe too as well. But growing up, getting older, when I being in high school or whatnot, going into college, or when I come back, whenever I'm in town, I'm always looking for records after I'm hanging around with the homies in the hood. And the main spot I always go to is Better Days out when it was on Bardstown Road.
Wow.
And that's where everything was at. I always told my homies, like,
Tell them where they at now. We ain't mentioned that.
we in Better Days East right now. We on Barrett Ave.
921 Barrett Avenue. Just so everybody know, it's gonna be displayed everywhere.
Come shop.
Yep, come
Yeah,
shop.
come shop.
shop.
Come learn. Because then he would be a great example. Once meeting me, we had a great camaraderie of like, hey, again, technology for me, someone who samples and that's fine. But I turned them on to like things that it's just a different craft. But that doesn't mean that we just still have to give credit for where our soul wants us to be.
Right.
Exactly.
And create and understand, just understand how to manipulate it.
Innovation.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with adding.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with enhancing, but give credit for those who
Right.
created.
Right.
And then you help them, because there's always been a remake and a remix and a some in the music industry.
You just gotta pay your dues.
You just have to pay your dues and understand what part of the food chain. What part of the food chain are you going to be?
Mm-hmm.
But learn how to deal with brothers like myself, where that I'm not too selfish to tell them like, great record, great things in there for you to
Have you
take.
ever helped him with any of his projects?
No more than just not in the studio, but just him saying, "Hey, this is a great record." You can
like
find.
You just point him in the
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember I got 2 totes. I always love telling this story. I remember I got it was me, Hendo, Mommy Little Tommy. We went over to the record shop. He had like a whole lot of totes of records. I'm over here just looking at the dollar stack.
Yeah.
But I found one of my favorite Ohio Players joints, the Skin Tight. And then we was just talking about. He was talking about like this was my first time meeting him, and I was like, you the owner of this. Like, man, and seeing him as a black man, it's like it's everything to me.
Yes,
and then he sold records to the ones I look up to, the sorts of like Mad Lib. He sold records to them.
Hey, it surprised me as well that you own this and you a black man.
Yeah.
Salute.
And again, that's the reason why
yes, sir.
the disconnect has always been. You mean you're not going to tell anyone where I turned you on to a new soul record or even a rap record? You gotta spread the news. We're not going to take anything from
the
you.
gospel.
Right.
You got to spread it, and that's where being an owner, or when we was talking about industry, that's what I mean by industry. You got to, and it's not a matter of support, help. Well, no, I done my job. I turned you on to something. I'm even in the industry getting black music to my community. No one has had as much black merchandise as I've ever had. Even in this store that we're sitting in, it has more than 30,000 pieces of LPs and CDs. It has close to 80,000 pieces.
Wow.
There's not a record store in the United States that would cater to black people as I do.
Yes, sir.
That's beautiful.
In Louisville, Kentucky.
You're gonna help
That's
a lot
inspirational.
of our artists in Louisville.
Yeah. And see, again, that's like I said, and it's just a lack of communication of people saying like, oh, that's a black-owned store, which that
I
doesn't.
should have been in there about the store, man.
That's why
That's why it's so crazy when I've gone through 4 generations of people, but then it's when technology changed the game.
And it's so crazy, you've been as young as you are. You feel me? That you're into this. You feel me? Because I wasn't nothing into but the digital albums on Apple Music.
Yeah,
it's so unique having the actual physical art piece.
Exactly, because it's the whole feeling of having that right there. Because any day now, internet can shut down like this. Nobody ain't gonna have no digital stuff. It's good to have everything physical of that too. And even back then, it was just telling them like this is where just putting them on to all of this stuff that's going on right now. Just each one teach one hand wash the other. Like this is information we giving y'all like that, because in order to do this music here, it's like knowing where, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. So it's just the whole thing of that. But definitely just having the actual piece right there, whether if it's a CD, cassette tape, 45s, 12-inch vinyl record LPs.
Which one's your favorite?
My favorite, see, it's between 12-inch vinyls or 45s. Because, 45s is singles. Because, most people, when they was getting it on, like, the groups back then, they was literally have, like, pressing singles. Just singles. Because you had one that was, like, a hit single, and the other one is, like, it was another single that you like, oh, yeah, you heard this is good? Listen to this other one.
And you see, that's what the digital age is going back to. The kids are putting out a single, or just one song for you to absorb right then. But the instantaneous, like, because someone can put out something overnight.
Right.
Again, that's the confusing part of the soul. Our attention span is shortened when it needs to be expanded.
Yeah, you don't even have time to meditate.
And
what
that's
song
right.
means.
So that's back to what I was really saying in the beginning of. We as black people, creators and all the above, don't miss out how the soul plays the bigger part.
Right, I understand.
Because the soul is the biggest part of the creation, then the creation is the part of your connection, and then the connection is like your fan base, whether they like it or don't like it. But all that goes together. And my young man was just saying like, hey, he already knew how to learn how to connect. If he was in the other room playing the record, the same as I used to. I used to be in a barn playing the records for people.
Wow.
And then, and just by me bringing my little 2 turntables, and I was one of the first who had a realistic mixer. I probably was 13 years old.
Wow.
Went to a bar and set up and just started playing 2 records at one time. You know, creating the whole where it's gotten to now. Because you got to remember, the digital age is basically all the analog and all the creation that someone's put into the digital, into the machines. It was already created. They just happened to store it. You know, you know. So someone had to create the vibe, the soul of disc jockey.
So go ahead and give the people the definition of a sample and why you don't appreciate the sample.
Again, it's not that I don't appreciate the act of calling us artists,
Right.
because we didn't create the soul. I mean, like the sample that we have abstracted from something.
Somebody already played that.
Someone's already, and they put their soul in it. They didn't just push a button.
Right.
That took a lot of mind, body, and soul to create even just the smallest riff or the smallest little, melody. And then when someone can just take it and just manipulate it, that's where I just wish that people, especially black people, would understand, learn how to be a musician first.
Actual musician.
Actual musician.
Yes.
Learn how to, if nothing else, learn how to play a drum. Learn how to play the keyboard. Don't let the machine create everything
I
for
never
you,
thought
and
about
then
it like
take
that.
all the credit of what a machine's already done for you.
Because I always wonder, like, okay, how did the song get on the machine? Like, how did the sound of a guitar?
Well,
get
again,
on
that's the technology, right? So that's just the technology. That's just the guy who has created these machines. It is really taking someone's voice, someone's chord they've already done, and they've manipulated into a synth or memory or whatever. So it was still created. Now they just put it all in one box.
And it wasn't never copyrighted. Like, that sound wasn't copyrighted.
That's why people don't like sample snitching in the rap game.
No, actually, the copyright is see, again, back to the industry. Copywriting is just a form of you telling someone, I created it. So if you created it, you've copyrighted it.
Exactly.
So there's no, and the only time you have to take it to a court situation
Technically, it's not really.
Technically, if you don't create it, it's never yours.
because they never played it on the instrument.
Yeah, if you didn't create it,
Technically.
it's never yours.
Yeah.
Now, but if you want to share it, which that's what makes musicians, bands, the community, that's what makes it work. Because it does. One of my sayings, and it's really, really, especially in dance music, and that's why when we use a 4/4, it's what you do with the 4/4. It's what you do with it. It's very simple, but it's what you do with it, and that means whether you want to layer it, which again, that's what the machine does, whether you put your soul into it and manipulate it through the machine, then it becomes yours.
Yeah.
So if you can take a sample and manipulate, and I don't know where it comes from, then you have recreated a sound, not a sample.
Exactly, and that's where people get the misconception.
And that's where
they'll make a song over. Like, people will literally make a song over, just put we call like loops. They'll just do a whole loop, and it sounds like, it make it sound familiar. Me myself, I chops it. Like I chop it up, and that's the whole thing. To me, that's where like the art of sampling comes in, because there ain't too many people out here chopping it up instead of just got loops and say, yeah, I did this. Nah, you just pretty much put the needle on a record, or you download it on YouTube and just put the little, because most of the people be on FL, they'll just drag the little file right there and just let it roll for like a good 4 bars or 16 or 8 bars or whatnot. Meanwhile, when you have like an MPC or MPD or 1200 SP or a 404, and you can just like chop it from there and just pretty much like just taking something, gutting it out, and just bringing it life to it, but also still paying dues to where it has come from. So that's just the whole like art of that. That's why I appreciate it, instead of just having like, we call it like drumless breaks or anything, which is cool, but it's just you just laying it out, you just looping it out to making it familiar. And people usually, because back then it usually people that will sample the same drum breaks, they will sample the same like familiar ones, just to be like, oh yeah, they did it, I could go ahead and do it like this, instead of just digging deep and pretty much giving a life to an artist that is probably on another side of the world that's just doing something regular or anything like that, giving life to his creation. And like, this is you getting him paid too, not just you, but him paid as well. And that's what makes everything work. Just everything come in cycles.
Yeah, it's just giving everybody what part of the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a right or wrong to it, but there's a mission. And then that's up to you, the artist or the listener. And that's why, again, me having a record store, I stay amazed at how my younger people won't listen. And they satisfied with just a little instead of, learning that it's never ending. I mean, we got some people who think there's thousands of records, or there's hundreds of thousands. No, there's billions of tracks.
Infinite.
Billions. Billions. I mean, you just think of all the other countries. So again, if you think of how open it is, then you stay true to the game. And there's a big difference. That's why when we ever talk about industry, it's like, no, plenty of people say I'm all things for what I have, and that's still going to be more than enough to help create your soulful soundtrack to your life. I mean, that's what part, at my age, I still make myself, not make as in like in a bad way, but I listen to something every single day. 3 to 4 hours of music every single day. Mm-hmm. Somebody, something. Do I have any favorites? No, it's all my favorite because it's all. I couldn't teach you about it if I didn't know a lot about it.
Wow, that's a lot right there. That's hey, real talk.
Yeah, we don't even have enough time,
Yeah.
And again, you're talking about someone who's been listening to records since they were a baby and remembered.
Yeah.
18 months old. I can still remember sitting on my kitchen floor spinning 45s in a top.
Yeah.
What I love about this is y'all so technical about it. Like y'all know y'all shit for real.
Like from the ins and outs, like real talk.
How you come to
and again,
it,
and that's the difference in industry and art, and how do you mesh them together to make it a part of your life. Because that's what I wish, since we're such creative people, and then it will go back to the creation that without turning to politics, you gotta know it's a God-given, and if our black men and women would just go to church where their talents are accepted in any form, with no criticism.
You learn how to sing.
You learn how to sing. You learn how to play. You learn how to you learn how to expose feelings by just the whole spirit of what music brings.
That's why gospel music is.
And that's why it is what it is. Like if you went to a gospel church now, you wouldn't think about sampling nothing.
They know how to rock.
Right.
Because them cats still use real musicians, and them cats still use spontaneous. That's why my show still works with whoever I work with, because I've listened to enough music where I can give you something to add on at the moment. Mm-hmm. Might not even be able to repeat it, but I can give you something at the moment, and that's what creation is. Right. So you got to understand that it's still, it's not. It can't be contained, and that's why live shows or going to church or going somewhere where you have to. Again, what you all record. If we done it every day, then there'll be people saying like, let's see what the music people are talking about.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Do they have any live shows in Louisville?
Oh, we have tons of shows.
Tons of them? I'm gonna have to.
Lots of shows. And then that goes back to the communication. If you all do this, you all should be doing this every week with everybody, because you just said art, but you still got to understand you young cats. So y'all need to find all the old cats and talk to them every day.
It's starting with you.
Starting with me. Come in here.
We got such a rich history in Louisville.
You have to come, and you have to come when people are here. So people, and that's why it's like now it's really bizarre that we have to sell an experience when experience used to be life.
Exactly.
Why would you have to sell an experience of me talking to you about music, the things that we love, that our soul makes us have?
Yeah.
And when you all talk to me, I guarantee you all say, man, I could talk to this cat all day long.
Yeah, I grew up with my grandma, so I already know.
So you understand what wisdom?
I just
Don't be afraid of it. Absorb all. And you and those who, you know, me and my family always discuss what smart is,
what wise is,
and wise is not. But it's all the above. You never know, because you don't know what's gonna come out of my mouth, and you don't know what I done learned. Because I can see on with your expression, his expression. The thing it is learn how to love and be excited. Love what you're doing, not impress me with what you know. Because anybody can know, but everybody can't express.
You're a student. Yeah.
Everybody can't express, and that's the biggest part of life is understanding. Like again, when they say, "Do you work?" No, this is all I've ever done. I put the needle on the record, and that's what I do.
It's your passion.
And it's you know, so yeah, we got a label, we got to do that. But no, I live the color of life.
Who's your favorite artist?
Can't have one.
He said he don't have a favorite.
Can't have one. If you had a favorite, how many times can I sell Prince records? He's dead now. I can't sell but the same
who
Prince
sticks with you the most?
Again, I couldn't be in the industry if I had to choose.
Right, yes, sir.
The guy who creates, see, he can choose his fan base. I can't choose my fan base because I've got to learn how to deliver all things to most people in the best way I can do.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Out of all the people that you've worked with for your years of music, who that you resonate the most with?
Myself.
That's another great answer.
I like that. I like that. Who's your favorite?
Because again, I can only share my experiences with even another musician, another artist, you know, and again, it goes back to we are the computers.
Right. Pay attention, everybody. Listen, just
we are the computers.
Listen to that again. We are the computers. Okay.
That you've learned to embrace, but the mind is still the computer can't do nothing unless the mind has put it into its hard drive. Somebody's mind, but it will never have soul. It will only have reaction. Exactly. Soul is a feeling. So a machine is never going to have a feeling. It can have a reaction.
Have you seen that movie? The Soul movie? It's a Disney movie.
No.
You should watch that movie. That was like a side track, but you should definitely watch that movie. I feel like you would like that movie.
No, but like you said, at the end of the day, you know, music is a spiritual thing.
It's a spiritual thing.
It's a feeling. That's what we want to do. Is just people just.
And as a movement, that's what you all got to keep.
Right, yes, sir.
You know, for your podcast to work, for any of it to work, talk to someone every day.
Yes, sir. Communication.
Every day.
Music is communication.
And if you want to talk about music, then you got to talk. You can talk to anybody, but ask them what part does music play in their life. And if they can give you any story, when I was in high school,
no matter what profession,
doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter. What were you doing at prom night? What were you doing first date? What were you doing in church? See, and then when you know, like, man, that's how the best I feel. Then some of your stress, some of your world would diminish when you know, like, man, the only thing that's gonna go to heaven, and you not even have to be a Bible reader, is they only talked about music. That's the only thing you're gonna hear at heaven. You ain't gonna hear nobody gospel. Music is the only thing the Bible ever quotes that will go that you will take, or you'll hear music.
You got a favorite artist, bro?
I can't. Like you said, I can't even say a favorite because I listen to a lot of stuff and a lot of things that kind of grabs my attention. A lot of things, whether it's from soul, funk, jazz, blues, even country and rock and roll and alternative rock and new wave 80s. It's definitely a lot of things. House, it's a lot of things, especially in the rap game too. But the ones that I always like, that I always kind of bring myself to, like I said, the Ohio Players and Parliament Funkadelic, because listening to their stuff when I was younger, kind of like, oh yeah, they got it right there.
And it doesn't mean you can't have a favorite. I'm not saying my genre of favorite, of course, is gospel and funk. Now, favorite people and favorite things, yes, I've met my Prince, I've met Roger and Zapp, I've met Patti LaBelle. I've met Gladys Knight. I've met.
So much to go around. Man.
I mean,
Yes.
so to me, it's like, again, I've been part of the industry, so I've met and worked with, whether I played their records or helped remix their records, or if or again, help create the scene that I got my title from.
Yeah.
It's like taking all those genres, putting them into a form of dance music, which we called house, and the reason for that is just so that we could have you got to remember, in the day, the black kids couldn't go to all the white clubs.
Right.
They couldn't go
Hear all the
to
music.
the clubs where
But, hey,
you
we got
had.
the best music anyways.
But that just
But
means
it's all
the
came
industry-
from us.
All of it does come from us.
All came from us. Like,
But then that's when you have to. Our next podcast will be talking more about the industry and how they hate. Again, but you also got to remember, we take from each other, hold it, and still never pass it.
Gatekeep this shit, man. Stop gatekeeping out there.
Yeah,
bro.
but see, that's the fear of that, and that's a whole nother history.
If it's fire,
that's
bro,
that's just a
tell
that's
your
just
boy
a
where
fear.
it came from.
Right.
remember, one hand wash the other in this, man.
That's just a fear of, and that's also we don't want to get super deep, but that's a slave mentality. That's something that we
Crabs in a barrel.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we cannot. But if we understood that industry, if we understand what capitalism is and control and earning
like
and all the above,
the type of music that's been put out.
sure. See, again, we
What the label
we
allows.
follow the leader, but no one's ever a leader. We follow a trend, but we never own anything. That's the reason why when I'm always talking about
Talk about that the other day.
even my peoples, I'm like, no, the difference is I own my space.
Right.
And when I own it, you can't ask me any question. Is the customer right? I'm always right. If I own it, how can he ever be right?
Facts, and you're the technician.
I'm the guy who's putting it together. So how's he
You're the
right?
specialist.
That's just another industry that doesn't want to be bothered with us, or bothered with emotions, or bothered. If I sell someone bad product, it's up to me to take care of the product. It has nothing to do with if we're wrong or right.
Right, exactly.
I want him to come back.
Right.
But it depends on, again, industry, what part of the food chain you are. This is why we call this the independent. We're the small business,
Yeah.
but we are
There's a lot of perspectives that you can speak
Right.
from. Like, it's beyond music.
It's beyond music,
Hey.
and then that's where, if you want to get somewhere, quit thinking there is the book that's for you. You guys write your own book.
Right, your own page.
That doesn't mean the content still can't be parts of mine. You'll take plenty from me.
Right. Yeah, putting myself in your shoes or a real musician's shoes, like asking, do you have a favorite genre or artist? That's like asking me what type of food I like.
Yeah.
Shit, I like so many.
And then when you go find something new, like, oh, I got a new favorite,
Right, exactly.
and there's nobody around to tell.
Facts, I done said that so many times. I was like, it's my favorite song.
You're right, but most of the time there's no one to tell at that moment, because then you done heard another one,
Yeah.
Another favorite.
another favorite.
Another one.
So then, what good did it make for someone to make a comment on? Well, what's your favorite?
Yeah.
What do you like? I
Shit,
like
I
it.
don't even
I like
know,
living.
bro.
I like keeping it moving. That's
I got
one
a
of
whole
my things.
list.
Keep it moving.
So, where are some of the places in the world that you have traveled to that you love
Now,
to perform?
a chicken to fly.
Oh, really?
So
I haven't
but
flew yet either.
every although I've gone, I mean, I've in the day when I was doing lots of like the raves and that world.
Yeah.
And this is always what's cool. I've always had 3 or 4 other musicians or DJs who wanted to learn the craft, and they was either 18, 19, 16, and I've always been the guest. This is one of the things that, if there's anything that you all learn how to be the guest when you want to be a musician. DJ, learn how to be the guest, because then when you're the guest, the industry, treats you as you are. They don't know anything about it. So I always had a driver. I always wanted people, do you want to learn the craft? Let me ride. Watch the scenes as we go. I've already seen the trees in the, Florida, St. Louis, Denver, New York, even, but if you all want to have this works, let's get a van. You do the driving for me. I'll do the navigation, but I want you to learn how it works. You know, I drove when I was 16, 17, 18, 19.
Right.
But if you want to know the craft, when you become 16, 17, you drive for me. That didn't mean I was trying to put them in a different position. It's like, no, he's got to know how long it takes to drive to New York.
Right. Not real
Spin
talk.
records, and then turn around and come back to Louisville. He's got to know how to do it. Wisconsin, St. Louis, all these places. That's one reason why I didn't like to fly, because I know how patient is.
I love to drive too. I done drove to Texas 3 times.
Because again, whoever's in the car with you,
Yeah.
you find something to create your industry about. You talk to them
Right.
I was doing business traveling.
all the time. They were learning their craft, and everybody used to drive me from K-Dog to all of them. You know, people that when they were young, I just remember meeting K-Dog when he was young. I knew his dad, and Marcus and Rico, all those guys who are, it's like, man, they all are playing records. And a lot of it was because they heard the band man. I was, maybe 5 to 10 years older than them. They always heard. So I see my fruits of the sharing and the information given through record store and through my craft. I see it all the time. I see their names in lights.
Wow.
And still, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, man, I don't understand why most people don't like to just share, experience, and it starts from the ground. Now, it might have got off from why I don't fly, but I've been all over the United States.
Yeah.
Only place I've not been is California.
Wow.
And actually, I've got great connection in California. But California has just been one of the places where.
And we're talking about solar.
The actual house music is not the same.
That's good.
So that's the only state that you haven't.
That's the only state. But I've worked with probably 13 to 15 great artists from California.
Yeah.
I still do stuff with some Californians now. And what I mean by that, back to the sample, I'm one of the guys what you call the stab guy. They'll ask me to just sing some stabs. Gotta have a house, that kind of, and they'll take it. They'll give it to different DJs, and
And then another thing when you talk about like house and everything too, like LA scene is like straight up like, you got the techno scene, like you got Egyptian Lover, you got the Jun Soon crew, you have the Dream
the Florida.
Team, you got the Florida with the bass, you got them like, 2 Live crew with it's definitely like, because it's definitely a whole time frame with that, because you got New York, everything, East Coast. Yeah. Everything's like
so
this.
Again, all that in the industry is where again, and that's the reason why my Kentucky roots, I like being you all probably don't know too many other house heads at all.
I don't. You was the first person I met like at All Together Lou's on Shelby.
And then again, Kentucky has always been one of the places where they think we're just pure redneck or just so ignorant.
Yeah.
And we are the true mecca of the creators.
Louisville is Louisville.
It's
Louisville, yeah.
Some greats you probably see, the people that they be sampling out there that you know of. Some of it came from Louisville.
Yeah, a lot of it comes from Louisville.
Some of them came from Louisville for sure. So it's definitely got a lot of rich history in this city. It's just if people just want to sit down and just learn from it.
Yeah.
You gotta learn.
So now we're getting into the segment of what do you feel about what do you think Tryp is? What does Tryp mean to you?
What
Tryp, that's our brand.
What does it mean? Well, one, just the fact that you reached out and that you understand that it takes communication and it takes relationship fast. Learn how to recognize greatness, good. Just learning, so obviously you guys, with the podcast, you guys know that it takes not just you two. It's going to take everybody to help you get to where you want to get to.
Right.
And then when the egos get in the way, learn how to, hey, I'll learn how to deal with it. But I can't do this by myself.
We need everybody.
And one thing that you will learn by being the guest, that you'll recognize human nature. Because you'll sit back, listen, look, and learn, and then when you open to speak, you're not speaking out the side of your neck.
Right.
You know, to come across, and you know, you guys speak to me as in like, oh my God, but it's like, oh, I've been the same guy I've always been, up front, in control, and I guess that's the reason why the rareness is like I've never worked with anybody, never punched a clock in my life, and it's because I've always been.
You know your shit when it comes to music.
Right.
Yeah. So when it comes to music and the industry and just the love of it, I can talk to you all day long.
Really?
Yeah. So what it really meant to me is that, like I said, I always like how just the whole communication and everything, and just making sure like we keep this going forward instead of just just going backwards and just doing kind of like half stepping and anything like that. It's just we keeping this on the ground from ground roots. It takes a community to get this together, and that's why I feel like what y'all represent is just a whole community. All of us, the one in the future that's coming on. That's what we got. Like you have Ben Man right here.
Right.
He's like teaching me, and it's like me teaching them. It's just keeping this going, because at the end of the day, the future is important. So we always got to teach the future.
He's passing out a lot of.
He's passing it around from me to Domby to Cool.
And just again, for you guys podcasting, for you guys understanding, here we did. We didn't go to try to find a set, and this is reality TV.
We are at better days.
We are, we just, hey, you can give information wherever you're at.
Right now, man.
You don't have to play the game.
Right.
This is where the podcast is made. It's reality. If you cough, then you keep it in there.
Right. Real talk. We don't.
You don't have to edit your world.
Right.
So let people, and that's the whole idea. Let people see what you do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means you make a mistake that time, keep that part in there.
Right.
Don't make a big deal out of it. Keep that part in there. Because then that relates to, they're like, it happens to me too sometimes. Shoot,
we all human.
We all human. Yeah. 1 × 1 = 1. You figure it out. The multiplication system is 1 × 1, but the system is multiplying, but whenever it's just 1 × 1, well, it's always going to be 1.
Right.
So you can't use the system all the time with just 1. You always got to add a person. But 1 × 2 is what?
2.
And then when you start multiply 4, 6, 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still the same system. But if it's ever just 1 and 1, you can't get anywhere.
Right.
Exactly.
And using the same system.
You need to keep on multiplying.
It needs to keep on multiplying. And the only way you can do that is you add something else or a person to it.
Right. That's it.
I hope y'all got all of that right there. And with that being said, so look, we got something special coming with Ben Man. But for Rolly, we wanted to gift you our black SS Trippy Orbital shirt.
Yes, sir.
Looks good.
You are the first artist to obtain the shirt. Check it out. Check out the back.
Appreciate you, man. It's definitely.
This new Trippy design.
New Trippy design. So.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah,
it's been an honor to have you on the trip. We're at our destination now, man. Go ahead and shout ourselves out one more time. Let the people know who you are one more time.
Let's go Better Days Records. DJ Ben Man, or Ben Jones is my name. I've owned Better Days since 1978.
Yes, sir.
And it's been a great, long, black ride. I love it.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you.
Axel Rowley right here, man.
Yes,
This is the one right here. This is how I got most of the game from, just digging records. I hope y'all literally take heed to everything what he's saying, though, because it's so important.
Heed.
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I'm still out here still going. So definitely keep it going. Keep it tuned.
So y'all stay tuned, man. Y'all go like and subscribe.
Stay trippy.
Yeah, it's a good trip, man.
We out.